So I was on X today and I noticed that a lot of people were putting out lists of all the ridiculous hoaxes that the lefties fell for over the last several years. Some of them are real doozies. I mean, you have to be a complete moron to believe half of them. But some of them are so wacky and out there that the people who believe them, I mean, if their IQ were any lower, we would have to put them out in the sun and water them 3 times a week. So I figured I'd report on the list here to give you guys a belly laugh if you missed it. I snatched a lot of them from what I saw online and I added some myself, so I don't take full credit for the list by any means. Only some of them. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? So I'm going to give you a rundown of the most absurd liberal hoaxes from the last few years that the loony left fell for big time. I'm talking totally bananas conspiracies that only a low IQ leftist would believe. But brace yourself, because some of these hoaxes will blow your mind with their outrageous stupidity. So let's start with the king of all hoaxes, the Russian collusion conspiracy. For 3 years, the left was convinced that Trump colluded with Russia to steal the 2016 election, despite zero evidence ever being produced. But the leftist media peddled this nonsense 24/7, and their sheep listeners ate it up. What an embarrassing fail. The next one is Trump called neo-Nazis at Charlottesville very fine people. Anyone who paid attention knows he did not, and that CNN edited the video to remove when he said, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and white nationalists because they should be condemned totally, but they ate that shit up. The Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Sure it was. Trump made fun of a reporter's disability. That was totally fake as well. Bubba Wallace's garage door pull was a mini hangman's noose. Jussie Smollett was attacked in Chicago by white MAGA guys. The Covington Catholic students, a smiling student was the worst racist on the planet. He's now the richest Catholic student on the planet as well. The COVID lab leak was a conspiracy theory. Remember when they told us that? The Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot, where there were more FBI people in the kidnappers group than there were actual kidnappers. I think like the majority of them got let go too. They were found not guilty. The 2020 elections were fair because no court found major fraud. Well, no court actually allowed any evidence to get in. I love how the liberals say, well, there were 60 courts that just threw out because of lack of evidence. No, there were 60 courts that all used the same bullshit standard of they had no standing to go in. So the courts never accepted the evidence at all. They never even looked at it. You ready? The January 6th was the worst attack on the Capitol since the War of 1812. I wish liberals would read a friggin' history book. In the 1950s alone, there were Puerto Rican terrorists that went into the balcony of the House of Representatives and started shooting at people. They hit a congressman. I think they hit a cop as well. And there were other attacks. There were two bombs that went off outside the Senate building. All right, the next. America is systemically racist, of course. The Brett Kavanaugh rape accusations, remember that? Every leftard out there believed them. The Trump PP tape. If you don't know what that is, look it up because I can't explain it here. I'd get in trouble. The Steele dossier, or for my liberal friends, the dossier. The Don't Say Gay bill that never had the word gay in it. Russian bounties on U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. Remember that? Every now and then, the leftists would try to attack Trump from a military standpoint. Because a lot of people who aren't in the military, they very much revere and admire the military. And so they just wanted to knock them down there, but it just didn't work. Trump said drinking bleach would fight COVID. Now, I know a lot of libtards that are watching right now will go, he did, I heard him say it. No, you didn't. Now, here's a doozy. Trump is a Russian agent. To this day, a lot of these idiots believe he's a Russian agent. Here's another one. Andrew Cuomo had the best COVID leadership. Then we have the Muslim travel ban that never existed. He never had a travel ban. He never had the word Muslim in it. But you know who did have a Muslim travel ban? Barack Obama. He had a Muslim travel ban. He had the word Muslim in it. Trump overfed Kyofish in Japan. Remember that one? Here's another one. The George Floyd BLM riots were mostly peaceful protests. Then migrant kids in cages. Barack Obama had kids in cages, and along with Joe Biden. But Trump, he ended kids in cages. Libtards still say that Barack Obama didn't start it, that Trump started it. Next is the Georgia election integrity laws are the new Jim Crow. You remember when Joe Biden said that? He has no soul. You ain't black. Yeah, him. He's going to say that election integrity laws, that when you read them, they actually make it harder to cheat and easier for everybody to vote. The Duke lacrosse kids, that was another rape hoax. Now, how many does that make, the rape hoaxes? 2020 was the most pristine election in our history. Yeah, okay. January 6th video footage could not be released for national security reasons. Al-Baghdadi was a religious scholar. Remember that? Here's an age-old one. Guns kill people. Yeah, I've always seen guns walk down the street and go, I think I'm going to shoot that motherfucker right over there. Trump overpowered Secret Service agents to grab the wheel of the beast. You remember that? And here's the funny part. These idiots didn't even realize that he wasn't in the beast. The beast is the actual term for one of the cars that they have for the president, and they weren't in it that day. They were in a regular SUV. Donald Trump wants to be a dictator. He said as a joke, yeah, one day I'll be a dictator. I'll close the border. Remember that? And drill, baby, drill. And they say, oh, he wants to be a dictator. The next one is Joe Biden is not a dictator. They believe that shit. They've lived for 3+ years now under Joe Biden, and they don't believe he's a dictator. Here's another one. Ivermectin is horse dewormer, and it's never been used for humans. I used it. Trump used tear gas to clear a crowd for a Bible photo. Never happened. He didn't do that. Officer Sicknick was murdered by protesters using a fire extinguisher. Well, I think videos that showed that wasn't true. In fact, the poor guy died the next day. The Trump tax cuts only benefited the rich. That's a bunch of horseshit. In fact, all the studies that were done showed that the poor and the lower middle class had a higher percentage of tax cut than the rich. Now, people say, they didn't get as much money as the rich because they didn't earn as much and they didn't pay as much in taxes. See, they don't understand stuff like that. Here's another one. MAGA is white supremacy. MAGA has nothing to do with white supremacy. MAGA and white supremacy do not go together in any way, shape, or form. Here's one. Facebook and Twitter did not shadow ban. I'm banned every single day from Facebook. I mean, I have a 95% block on everything I post. Illegals were whipped by federal agents on horses. Do you remember that when everybody said, I saw them do it? No, you didn't. There was not one video that showed that the guys on horses with whips to hit the horses, because that's how they train them, right? That you saw no illegal alien getting hit by them. All right, tax cuts cause deficits. No, they do not. Not even close. January 6th was an insurrection to overthrow the government. No, it was a protest, and there was a riot that broke out, and the people who rioted were wrong. Nobody's ever said they weren't, and they should have just punishments. Not the punishments that the majority of them are getting, though. I think they went way overboard. But January 6th was not an insurrection. Nobody there that day tried to overthrow the government. Are you ready? Here's one of the best ones. Build Back Better will pay for itself. How's it paying for itself so far, Joe? In fact, did you know that Build Back Better is a term that was handed out by the WEF or the Great Reset? If you go, just Google Build Back Better foreign leaders and watch how many of them used that term since the WEF put it out there. If you get vaccinated, you won't catch, well, you know. The other one, Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd. No, he didn't. The coroner said he didn't. The coroner said he died of a drug overdose of fentanyl. As a matter of fact, the defense during the trial showed a video from the back side of the officer, and they went straight up and showed that his knee was never on George Floyd's neck. It was on his shoulder. He never put it on his neck, but you know how that went. An SUV killed parade marchers. The Putin price hike caused Biden's inflation. You remember when they were trying to blame Putin for Joe's inflation because he spent all that money in the first 2 years? Remember that? Joe Biden, this is Karine Jean-Pierre said this the other day. Joe Biden gets more done in an hour than most Americans do all day. I almost drove off the road. I was driving. I shouldn't be doing that, driving and listening to Karine Jean-Pierre. The Twitter files were a flop that taught us nothing. They really believe that, too. Well, there was nothing there. There was nothing in there. Trump stored nuclear secrets at Mar-a-Lago. Well, that's been shown to be bullshit, too. Joe Biden was allowed to have classified documents in his possession. No, he wasn't at no time, whereas President Trump was because he was a president. Joe Biden, as a senator or vice president, had no right to them. The special counsel won't charge Biden because of his memory is bad. Yeah, okay. But he can still be commander-in-chief and the president of the United States, leader of the free world, but he won't be charged because his memory is bad. So I guess a bad memory, it doesn't matter to all the other things he has to be. Words kill people. Disinformation and misinformation are killers. Yeah, okay. And finally, Twitter hate speech got a lot worse under Musk. Think about that, guys, that they think this stuff. Sure, we can laugh now, right? But these people are people who believe that they are intrinsically superior to you and me. I mean, can you believe that the overwhelming majority of leftists fell for these hoaxes over the last several years? They have the backing of the mainstream media, academia, and Hollywood. Many of the people in the fake news media believed all these hoaxes as well. They're no better. These gullible people vote based on lies and hoaxes. No wonder our country is headed down the toilet. And don't forget, they vote for politicians who will represent all of us. The sad news is that there are far more of them than there are of us. That's why it sucks to live in a blue state, because there are so many more people in society dumb enough to fall for all these hoaxes who can vote against your interest, and you have to live with it. All right, guys, smash that like button if you think leftists fell for the stupidest hoaxes ever. And subscribe if you want more hilarious commentaries exposing the loony left. Share this video with like-minded friends who want to stay informed with what's really going on. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.
I remember the days, all those years ago that never fade away. And I remember your face when you hit the ground. I can recall the time and place.